Mental retardation. Think about that for a second. Let's go on a journey back to where it all began, the Bronx, New York. It was on May 23rd, 1977, where a young boy and his parents went to the doctor for an evaluation to find out why this young boy was not speaking. You see, the world looked at this young boy differently, and words were very harsh. The results of that evaluation will change the life of this boy in ways that was not fully comprehended at the time. The doctors told his parents that your son is functioning on the moderate mental retardation level. Whoa, wait a minute. This boy was deemed retarded and followed him for years? His father was saddened to find out that the brain damage caused the mental retardation and there was no cure. But his mother refused to accept that diagnosis. How dare you say my son is that retarded? My son is not a retarded child, and once he learns to talk, he'll be fine. Yes, the kid was introvert, but his mom decided to read him Bible stories. And as a result, there was great improvement in his language skills, the ability to memorize, and the ability to maintain memorization of the most minute aspects of the story. Now let's flash forward to grade school. When this kid continuously learned to speak, he shifted his focus to education. He still wasn't the sociable kid, but dealt with a lot of bullying. But how did he combat that? He compensated. He took it out on the books, studied. He had a love for learning. You see, school was his sanctuary, his safe haven. And as a result, he excelled, won numerous academic awards, and finished third in his high school class. Now, after earning his bachelor's and master's degree, he wanted a little bit more learning. Deep down, he wanted to pursue doctoral studies. Two schools he had in mind. One said no, but he did not let that rejection stop him. He knew the right school was going to one day give him that opportunity. How did it came about? While he was at work one day, he received a phone call unexpectedly. It was from a higher ed institution down in South Texas, wanting him to interview for their doctoral program. He did the interview. He shared the story. And a few weeks later, he got the notice in the mail that would change his life forever. They said, "Congratulations, you have been accepted into the doctoral program. And as an added bonus, we're going to offer you a scholarship." Boy, this man was so happy. He realized that term MR that he was diagnosed with was furthest from the truth. And that was incorrect. So, that dream he had so tightly, so much hope and promise, he packed his bags and headed to South Texas, ready to start the next chapter of his life, knowing that no rejection could stand in the way. The beginning of his doctoral studies began with so much hope and promise. Payroll, he was not ready for what was to come. He struggled. One course gave him trouble. He was thought he might have been broken. And after that first semester, he was in a position in his academia career that he never, ever thought he would be in. Academic probation. That second semester, he worked hard to get his GPA up for the semester, but the overall GPA was still short. Wait a minute. What the heck is going on? Is this dream that he had so tightly about to slip away? He refused to let that be the end of his story, and he refused to go back to South Carolina as a failure. But you know what he did? He swallowed his pride, and he had to do something that he never, ever had to do. He asked for help. So he got with his advisor. They strategized, they planned. So he fought, it was like an uphill battle. He knew the road was not going to be easy, but he was willing to persevere. And then he had a little setback, taught the department. He got help with his writing. Then he wanted to change his major, which he did. His mother, who read him Bible stories, talked him out of staying out a semester after his father died. Told him, you go finish what you started. And he did that. He started excelling in his new major, passed the comps, and began his dissertation. February 7th, 2020 was the proudest day of his life. He defended his dissertation. And told his mom, your son accomplished something that nobody thought it could be done. After teaching elementary and middle school for a while, he pursued a career in academia that would bring greater benefits and stability. It all began at a local college when he decided to work with young adults. Then he decided to transition to vocational rehabilitation to help persons be empowered to overcome barriers to employment. And this led him back to higher ed as a graduate teaching research assistant, where he can utilize his ability of education and mentorship. Now, higher ed did not come without its challenges. After being let go of a position, he faced a 15-month period of unemployment. But then, he had a good roommate who was in the field of psychology, encouraged him to go get tested. So he went to a local counseling, and then April 2022, he was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, higher function level 1, better known, used to be known as Asperger's syndrome. So, a few months later, there was a nonprofit agency that supported persons with disabilities, gave him a buzz, and said, hey, we would like for you to come interview for a public health care instructor position. He did. The next day, July 26, 2022, he got the phone call and said, congratulations, we're going to hire you. And you know, July 26 was a day of liberation for persons with disability. Why? Because on that date, 1990, the Americans with Disability Act was signed and passed into law in the United States by President George Herbert Walker Bush. Why it matters. This is why it matters. When this man got the diagnosis, he refused to accept it at first. Struggled 45 years that he did not want to be placed a label upon that would impact both his professional identity and his personal identity. For over a while, he accepted it, embraced it, and instead of looking at it as a limitation, he used it as a source of empowerment. And as one who is living with autism, he lets his co-workers know that his disability does not define him. It's the way you embrace it that shapes us. Here's the call to action. The term MR should never, ever be used out loud. Why? First of all, words do hurt. We must be careful in our language, what we say. When we deal with persons with disability, we have to show the human side of the individual. You utilize personhood. You identify the person first instead of then the disability. Say, for example, a person with a disability instead of a disabled person. And that small subtle change can make a big difference because it's all about respect and dignity. And we change that language, we will change the way we treat others and ourselves. I'm going to leave you with a couple of statistics to think about. Did you know in research, 1/5 to 2/5 of persons with autism who decide to pursue 4-year baccalaureate programs in America graduate successfully? That is compared to 3/5 of all other students in the United States and America who decide to pursue 4-year studies. Who wants to take a guess of what percentage of persons with autism having a doctorate degree? He'll tell you it's less than 1%. Let that sink in. Less than 1% of persons with autism have a doctorate degree. Let that sink in. You know the story that was shared about that boy 47 years ago who got that diagnosis? He's in that 1% of persons with autism that have a doctorate. You're looking at him. Dr. Matthew Lloyd Atterbury. Thank you.